We'll go ahead and get started here. I know we're about time and want to be respectful of everyone here. We're trying to keep this a little bit shorter and just get to the main points here. So I'm happy to welcome Kari Wilson from Sonida Senior Living to our webinar today. We're going to be focusing on boosting end-of-year occupancy using reputation management, whether that's online or the first moment someone steps in the building. We're going to spend some time with Kari here, who I'm going to allow to introduce herself a little bit more than I could do for her and handle some things from there. So my name is Ryan and I handle partnerships over at AccuShield, and we're going to get moving. So Kari, why don't you tell us just a little bit about your background and what you're doing over at Sonida? For anyone who doesn't know, Sonida has grown very rapidly in the past year or two. And, the lifeblood of senior living at the end of the day is our residents. How do we get more residents in there to make sure we can do all the fun and great things and provide awesome care for everyone else? And that's what Kari helps Sonida do. So why don't you go ahead, Kari?
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks so much for having me today. It's a pleasure to hang out with you guys and just share, some of our secret sauce and some of the things that we do to really improve our reputation at Sonida. So I'm the Director of Sales Operations. I've been with the company for 12 years, starting out at the community level. I work very closely with a number of partnerships that affect our communities. We have 96 communities today. Keeps me pretty busy. I'm super happy to be here with you guys today.
And thank you, Kari. And to Kari's point, between partnerships and the amount of buildings, this isn't just about an AccuShield and Sonida here. We're going to touch on some other technologies, some things you can do outside of our system, tips, tricks, best practices from Kari as well. Because at the end of the day, at AccuShield, we really want to make sure everything we're doing is helping the business and helping the residents. And whether we're doing that all on our own or we're doing that with a different platform, our goal remains the same. So without further ado, here we go. So Kari, this is, big, broad, everything. Can you tell us why reputation matters now, more than ever?
Well, yeah, it's a huge question, but it's really kind of a simple one. We live in a digital age, and really over the course of the last year, the importance of reviews matter more than ever before. And making sure that we all have an understanding that every reputable platform out there that can affect our business matters. So, it is super important for us to do everything that we can to position ourselves to gather those reviews. We're going to get a little mixed bag, right? We're going to get negative, we're going to get positive, but it's so incredibly important that we are actively pursuing those reviews every single day.
It makes complete sense now more than ever with the amount of seniors we have coming in. It's a large decision. It's like buying a house. It's like buying a car. We don't just walk into the dealership and go, that's the car I want at the rate I want. I'll take it. We're doing research online. We're checking Carvana, Kelley Blue Book, Zillow, any of those before we walk in. And from what I've seen on our side of things and being, a reformed operator here, is that our consumers are becoming more and more educated. And if we have a bad footprint online or we have low reviews, or negative pictures all over Yelp, we may not be considered to even get the opportunity to show off your building.
That's so true. We have to position ourselves to really showcase our strengths. And, to your point, like I don't stay at a hotel without looking at the review, and certainly if we are looking for a place that we want someone that we love to spend time to move into, to be cared for, absolutely. Everyone is out there looking at those reviews and how that is going to impact them as a family. Reviews matter so very much.
No, I think that's a great teeing up for everything we're about to keep talking about here, Kari. Thank you. Okay, now it's really to the second part of our title sequence there. It's the year-end push. So Kari, we know it's crunch time. We know holidays sometimes. People may take their eye off the ball a little bit. There's more PTO, there's more call outs, families are in and out, they're visiting. Can you tell us a little bit about your approach at Sonida, how you talk to your team on kind of staying vigilant during this time?
Yeah, I think, we're in what we refer to internally as review season. It's like it's the end of the year. And so if we snoozed a little bit at the beginning of the year, we really have to make that up now because we have to have new reviews every calendar year. We really should have new reviews every single month. We partner with caring.com, we partner with A Place for Mom. Those are really important review platforms for us. We have a deadline coming up at the end of the year with A Place for Mom, and it's really important that we get the reviews that we need so that we can really stand up against our competition. But not only that, but really to support the families as they are making decisions to move forward into our communities. We need to be able to show them that we can really truly take care of their family members, and the reviews help us to do that.
Absolutely. I know, Carrie, most people on here probably do understand, whether they have a welcome home or a Yardi or a different CRM, how those reviews come in and how someone like in A Place for Mom or caring.com sends them out. But would you talk a little bit about how you guys make I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this, cut through the noise between, any of your competitors when we know A Place for Mom may blast out 50 communities to one family that's looking. Everyone in this area, everyone within this price range. What do you guys do at Sonida to make yourself more attractive right off the bat?
Well, I mean, so we talked about the end of the year crunch. And, one, like we have to be vigilant about making sure that, we're doing everything possible right. And one of those things is making sure that we have a really good cadence as to how we actually pursue and receive our reviews. But, really authentically, we have to showcase who we are within the community. The family feedback that we get is really what sets us apart. So, and that comes oftentimes in the form of a review, right? So we are constantly working on requesting personally reviews, but we're also utilizing AccuShield to help us gain more reviews as well. To get that real-time feedback that not only helps us to run our business, but it truly, as I mentioned before, helps those families make the decisions that they need to make for the people that they love when they are looking for senior living in the markets that we operate in.
Yeah. And I always talk about this constantly through all the different groups we go through is it's not necessarily our job to get someone to move in our community right away. We don't know if they're the best fit. They're coming in, they're touring, they're speaking with people such as you, Carrie, to figure out, is this where I want to spend, what's possibly the rest of my life or 5 to 10 years here? So fit is such an important factor on what we're doing. And the trust that comes from that really begins online. It begins before someone steps in your door. And we're just going to keep talking about everything we can do to improve internally. So one, we can promote that, but two, expectations are met when someone does move in. So if we hold ourselves out to be, the best on the block, we want someone to move in and they feel that from the get-go. Not in order to go that direction, sometimes it takes constructive criticism. It takes self-inflection, it takes feedback from people we may not want to get feedback from.
Right. I agree. I mean, without feedback, we can't improve, right? So even though sometimes a negative review or maybe a negative survey of some sort hurts a little bit, if we really take the opportunity to grow from that feedback, it is absolutely going to make us better. And we want to be better, right? Like we want to be better for the people that we serve in our communities, for the families that trusted us with the people that they love. Our goal is to always be better. And so having that feedback at our fingertips and then implementing whatever we need to do, whether that's training, whatever that might mean, we want to do that to make our communities the best place we possibly can make them.
And I know something we've discussed as we were leading up to this is your leads don't come through one platform. You guys are constantly making sure that you have strong reputation on anything that's connected, whether that's your own website, Google, A Place for Mom, caring.com, Facebook, or LinkedIn, anything else out there. We want to make sure that you're displayed in any way. We never know where a lead's going to come through.
True. So, I think, you've got the digital front door is the title of this slide. And, as I said earlier, our digital presence is more important now than ever before. And not only does it matter, what our Google reviews are, literally every platform that we have a review on, it actually it actually makes a difference in the volume of digital leads that are driven to our community. It also affects the lead volume and quality that we get through our national partnerships with companies like caring.com and A Place for Mom. So by ensuring that our digital presence, meaning our review scores across the board on all of those platforms are strong, it helps to lead those really good quality leads to our community that we need to maintain our occupancy, to build our occupancy and our revenue.
No, that makes so much sense as we're going through here. And something else that you mentioned as we were preparing this is not everything needs to be pushed to those online review platforms. Some of these reviews, if we want to not necessarily push them to Google, we just want to see what feedback we're getting first. We want to see how we can make improvements and gain some great testimonials for our own website. We can help with that as well. And that's, valid marketing, great material coming in from verified sources, but not everything needs to be necessarily, let's shout it to the world. Let's go ahead and see what we can improve first. And then if we get to the point where you want to turn those Google reviews on and let things flow free and, go and drive towards that 5-star rating after we cleaned up some things behind the scenes, you're able to do that as well. It's just about how we can help everyone become a better operator for our residents and really make cash for these buildings at the end of the day so we can keep providing that care that we're doing now.
Yeah, so true, Ryan. I mean, I think that's one of the things that we've learned through using AccuShield as a platform for us to gain reviews for our communities is that we do have the ability, if we want to review those reviews first, before we kind of set them out into the wild for everyone else to see. And that's a benefit to using AccuShield to gain those reviews, most definitely.
Awesome. Sounds great. So we're going to go a little bit and get into some of the data behind this occupancy growth from here. So, Kari, this is, I guess, how we look at it as the standard terminology out there has been a sit to or sit. Somebody comes in, you capture their information by sitting down with them, they fill out the card or you fill out your CRM, you talk back and forth about what they're looking for, then you take your tour, and then hopefully you get to sit down again and have that conversation. So if you would, expand on that a little bit and tell us just how you guys are using some automation as part of that old standard process of sitting with somebody, touring them, and then hoping they sit back down again.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a variety of ways that we use automation, and I think that is, certainly increasing as we move into the next year with our CRM, with AccuShield. We are definitely utilizing our CRMs to do automated emails, post-tour follow-up emails, things of that nature. Post-tour surveys, we do partner with Further as well. And currently we're doing our post-tour surveys through Further. It's a great way for us to get that feedback that we talked about earlier to help us to make improvements. But also I think just one of the benefits of AccuShield too is it allows us to know who is in our building, who is visiting, who is not visiting. It helps prompt us to maybe come alongside some of those residents that maybe aren't having the interaction that maybe we would love for them to have from their family members. Not that that's automation, but it helps prompt us to dive in with those particular residents and make sure that they're supported. But for sure, the automation that we use to do post-tour follow-up, pre-tour reminders, post-tour surveys, those things help make us stronger. They help ensure people are showing up for their tours and that we are not missing a beat after they have left our community as they continue their search.
And I think what you touched on there with whether it's Further or any other platform, collecting that post-tour feedback, whether in an automated way, is fantastic for growth and just what we're talking about here. Because Kari, if I toured one of your buildings we went through, I may have had a great tour. There may have been 2 things I really didn't like about that great tour, Those two things may be the roadblocks, the speed bumps that keep me from moving my parents into one of your buildings. But we sit down after and you go, so how was everything? I'm going to say, oh, everything was great. We loved it. We'll just take the price sheet and we'll give you a call later. Because the last thing I'm probably going to do, sure, there are some people out there who will. They'll say what they don't like immediately and let you know. But a lot of us out there aren't looking for that confrontation when we're touring. We're going to take that information, we're going to go, oh, very nice, we'll see you again. But if I get that form that comes through to give us some feedback, see how things went today, I may be a lot more likely to open up and be a little more honest, which is great because now Kari can give a response, can address the feedback, or can take that back to her team and go, hey guys, maybe we need to make sure that the theater is a little more vacuumed because it was filled with peanut shells from the World Series game that went to the 18th inning on Monday night. Just those small things we can do, we can tweak. People may not say it to our face, but once they get behind a screen, they can get a little more brave.
Exactly. The automation allows us some anonymity, right? It does make it easier for us to maybe express our true feelings. And I literally just had a conversation with one of our regional sales directors this morning about, we're nice, we're polite when we're a visitor. And so offering people the ability to really give us their true feedback is really, really valuable to us as a company and, for our communities individually.
And that's exactly, you rolled right into our next slide here, which was using that feedback to immediately spot the good things as well. I know that's something that was very important to you that you touched on with us is we're not only responding to like 2 and 3 star reviews and below, we want to look at all of them. We want to thank and reward our people who are out there doing promotion for us.
Absolutely. So responding to feedback, whatever it is, super crucial. Again, yeah, is it cringy to get a negative review? It is, but if we're publicly responding to some negative feedback, it shows that we're engaged. It shows that we care. It shows that we care not only about your experience, but we really care about the people that we serve within our communities as well. And, but the same with positive feedback. Like if we're not saying, gosh, thanks, how lovely of you to say these kind words to us. We look forward to living up to it the next time you're in our community. All of those things matter. The public sees those. They ingest that. When they are looking for a community to take their loved one for a potential move-in, they want to see that we are engaged. And just the simple act of responding to a review, no matter what that is, it shows that engagement and it does make a huge difference.
I couldn't agree more. And I know something we always, or we've not always talked about, but we have discussed is we're not just putting our best foot forward out there for your operator or your community. You're putting your best foot forward out there for all senior living. This may be someone's first experience ever with the community, or they had one with their grandmother 25 years ago that was negative. And every time someone wants to step in at any of our communities as a senior living company, our goal is to convince them that community is better for them in the long run than staying at home, whether it's your community or someone else's. Each time we get someone who sees the difference of what senior living has become over the years, or push back against the stigma a little bit more, is how we all raise each other up here, which is the goal of rising tide raise all ships.
That's right. I mean, we're a business about care, right? So we should be able to show on all platforms that we care. It's pretty
Absolutely.
simple.
So I know we touched on this one a little bit, but Kari, how do you guys, other than further right now, is there anything that you really train with your team other than, speed to leads always out there? Just what do you guys do on that initial follow-up? How do you like to engage the customers or prospects?
So post-tour follow-up in particular, like having our executive directors involved in that post-tour follow-up, super crucial. Really, like they are frontline. Excuse me, we ask them to be frontline because they're the CEO of the community. They're the president of the university, right? They are the one that people need to hear from saying, hey, I am here to answer any additional questions that maybe you were afraid to ask, or maybe you didn't quite get a clear answer on. but also to let you know that, we want you here. Making sure that we are having our executive directors fully engaged with those families post tour. But then also, we have automations in place through our CRMs to do a post tour email that is, personalized to that person. It's automated, but absolutely, it's going to have just some personalization to it as well, to make sure we're not missing that beat of getting that follow up in when our sales director has to move on to that next prospect. So those are some of the things that we do post tour. We also do definitely some post tour automations through Further. We really just want to be sure we're not dropping the ball. Like, how can we make sure that we are fully covered and we are making sure we're fully connecting with that family member to stay in front of them, to make sure that they know we care about them.
I mean, that's a great approach and a great focus. And the last thing you want to do is lose a prospect or lose a move-in because something fell through the cracks.
Completely.
Okay, so we're moving on here to some real-world results. So, Kari, why don't you tell us just a little bit about, since implementing AccuShield, this is shameless plug on our end here, about just reviews and reputation, what you guys have noticed in just a few months with Sonida.
Sure. Yeah. So we really just started actively using AccuShield, particularly with our caring.com reviews and our Place for Mom reviews very recently. So we started August 1st collecting or requesting reviews for caring.com through our AccuShield kiosks in our communities. Over a 30-day period, we actually saw a 50% increase in the number of reviews collected from the previous 30 days. That's huge. So, and we're currently, a Place for Mom is what we currently have on all of our AccuShield kiosks in all of our communities right now. In the first 6 weeks, we just started requesting those reviews for a Place for Mom September 15th. We saw a 166% increase in the new reviews gained over the period of just a 6-week period of time. So pretty impressive results. What I will say though is, we're not only relying on AccuShield. It is a bonus way for us to request those reviews and get that real-time feedback. Still super important that we are actively engaging with individuals to request those reviews. I think it's really important to note that. But this is a really great way to automate some of that and really gain some reviews that maybe we wouldn't have gained otherwise. And so as we go into 2026, January 1st, we'll go to Google reviews and we'll do a quarterly rotation on the various platforms in which we collect reviews. I really feel like it is going to be, a tremendous way for us to have current reviews on all platforms in real time without having to do like the year-end push that historically we have had to do, as well as our competitors. So it's a huge, huge win for us. I couldn't be more pleased with the outcome that we've had.
It's the multifaceted approach, I think, cannot be forgotten as we talk about technology and everything else. Technology, when we automate something, we're going fishing. We're hoping we're going to catch a review. We're hoping we caught someone's attention or they were willing at that time to give us some feedback. If I'm sitting across from Kari and my mom lives in one of their buildings and I know Kari and I bought from Kari and we talk all the time about the move-in process and she helped advise me through that. And she looks over and says to me, "Hey, would you mind, leaving us a review on Google or leaving us a review on Yelp or any of these platforms, because that would help us out in the long run here." I'm going to be much more willing to do that based off all of the things that she just did for me and my family.
Right.
So we've had some other groups that we've, done the same process with. Brightview Senior Living's another one that we highlight here. They've been doing it a little bit longer at one point, but 289% lift in reviews. So one thing we've noticed, I know we're talking about more traffic, more trust, more tours, and this is a little bit outside of Brightview or Sonida in general. A lot of people have been, we would say, wary to turn on these reviews or turn on feedback because it's like flipping over the rock. You don't know what's on the other side till you do it. We have been, I would say, a little bit shocked to see that we receive much more positive reviews than negative reviews across the board. That we learned senior living has a very high approval rating from our current customers. Maybe not so much from prospects or people who haven't been involved, but our customers and our residents and people who buy from us, they know what you guys are doing. They know that, or the vast majority know, the effort and the hard work you're putting in and how difficult it is to care for that loved one in that time of need. So just something out there, if we're a little bit afraid or we don't want to know what's quite going on, we want to have some faith that the work you all are doing and that everyone in senior living is doing is being, appreciated, is being seen. So turning those reviews into referrals, we talked about this a little bit here, and I know we're getting closer on time. And Kari, just a little bit more, how you get someone who tells you, this was amazing, this was great, like we were so happy we were able to move in here, you made the process seamless, and then when it was time to go to assisted living, you guys were able to do that too. How do you take someone that either leaves that review or leaves that feedback to you? How do you get them to go and refer their friends going forward?
I think there's a lot of ways. So, we of course have a resident referral program, which I think many companies do, and we love for our residents to refer to us. So when they're happy, we want to make sure that they know about that. But I think it's also really important for us to promote our reviews on various platforms as well. We make sure that we have reviews on the community landing pages for each one of our communities. We use them in social media. We use them in our print materials, like our marketing packets that we have on site for tours. Ways to think outside of the box too. Send your reviews in your post-tour follow-up automated emails. Put it in your signature if you've got a really great review. Make sure that people are seeing those reviews. Positive reviews are going to prompt visits. They're also going to prompt current family members to maybe leave you a positive review too. But really, really relying on those people that are happy with you and asking them, hey, would you be comfortable referring family members? Here's what we have to offer you. Make sure that they're educated on that.
Mm-hmm. And I think what you mentioned there really towards the end is the most important. It's an ask.
Yes.
I would think most people on here are in sales and more comfortable asking for that.
Mm-hmm.
You got to ask for a check one way or another. No reason not to ask for a review when everything went great.
That's right. If you don't ask, you don't receive, right?
Absolutely. So a little more practical strategies we're going through here. So we want to talk about how we're, decoding through that tour feedback for more wins. We want to really collect and that consistent insight. This is everything we've been talking about here. We want to go through, we want to get that feedback, we want to respond positively, negatively. We want to make sure there's one thing that we can control, or two things I always believe we can control. It's our response and our effort. If we can say, we're going to have, a promise to ourselves or all of our prospects, we're going to respond back within 24 hours or by day's end, or anything that is just something that you can hold yourself to, is going to be so important to keep ourselves organized and make sure everything gets that response that's needed. If we're not able to respond and where people feel like they're giving feedback into the abyss, we're going to stop receiving that feedback. And then when we stop receiving that feedback, we're kind of flying blind here. We don't know what things are great, what things aren't. We could go in and the chicken dinner could all be sold out, but nobody liked it. They were just hungry. So just small things like that we want to make sure we are consistently doing. So if we get back whatever ideas that you guys have for yourselves on response to prospects, let's think about how we can duplicate that for response to feedback as well. Okay, Kari, a few more things here. How do you flip any of those negative responses into an opportunity for you at Sonida?
Yeah. I think, again, it's really just taking the negative feedback, applying it where we need to apply it, always making ourselves better. How do we improve? It's just anytime, as an individual or as a company, you hear something negative about yourself or your product or whatever it is, you want to make it better. So how do we make that better? And then also continuing to really focus on that digital presence and making sure that what we do is completely showcased well in a digital platform.
Yeah, that's fantastic here. And we've already talked about how we can automate some different things, but something on there that we say we can auto trigger those review invites after positive feedback. That's what we're talking about with Reputation Accelerator through AccuShield, where if you get something that's 5 stars, amazing, we love everybody, we love the care. Let's push it through to Google. Let's advertise you guys. That gets more traffic to your website, more traffic for Google My Business, and something when I Google senior living in Atlanta, Georgia, the best ones we want to pop up first. Or if I Google highest ratings. And now more than ever, these chat GPTs, all these other engines that people are going in to talk to, they're pulling from other places. So I can go into a chat GPT now and ask, give me the 5 highest reviewed buildings within 5 miles of this zip code. And we want to make sure we're available and have that information online to be in that list. It's really factoring in how people are making decisions going forward.
It absolutely is. And I think too, Ryan, one of the other things I want to touch on really quickly is that, you know, in our ability to gain additional reviews using AccuShield over the last couple of months has really increased our digital presence. And we've, of course, done some other things too on our end with some changes to our website. But at Sonida, we've seen a 12% boost just in our digital leads since September 1st. And that's pretty tremendous. You know, our reviews are contributing to that as well as some other factors, but that's a pretty big deal.
Just highlighting, it's the way that these search engines work is we need real traffic up constantly giving information. It pushes you to the top.
Absolutely.
So, a little bit of a wrap up here. Just on a checklist, if there's a photo or something anybody wants to take here, this is our 1,000-foot view here. We're looking at, automating some of those review invites to boost the online reputation, collect post-tour feedback to make sure our teams are as fantastic as they are, respond to every review, positive or negative. We want to make sure we integrate that customer data with your sales tool, with your CRM, and you're capturing those leads. And we want to prioritize not just AccuShield, but all of the tools at your disposal, whether it's a Further, a Welcome Home, a different CRM, a Yardi, whatever it is. We want to go ahead and work with those groups as well and do everything we can to help lead capture at the building, help that first impression, and not lose any data kind of in the middle here. Integrations are very important to us at AccuShield, and working with other vendors to help communities become successful has been our goal moving forward. We aren't saying we want to play nice in the sandbox with anyone we work with, and we believe all vendors should have that approach as well. Kari, anything to add on this wrap up here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take a ton of time, but I think like if you're already partnered with AccuShield, you have the ability to add review requests to your AccuShield. And I would say absolutely give it a try. It's been very, very good for us. And, Ryan, I think you really kind of went over everything else and summarized it very well. But yeah, I think like really understanding that all those platforms matter to your digital presence. So whatever you can do to make it easier, AccuShield is one of those ways. Utilize your partners to make you better. I'm a huge believer, and if you have a partnership and you're not maximizing what they can do for you, absolutely talk with that partner and see what can you guys do together to push the needle forward. And this is one of those cases for sure.
Absolutely. We want you guys to get what you're paying for. Okay, so a few more things here, just a little information on AccuShield and Reputation Accelerator is we have collected so far 2.3 million ratings since we have had our Reputation Accelerator together. I would like to venture out there and say that's probably the most ratings collected by a senior living platform, but that's until someone fact checks me. Fact check me, I'll stop saying it right now. From that point on, so what we do is when somebody leaves the building, they can leave a review on the kiosk, they can leave a rating. It would then prompt us to send a text to that person to leave a stronger review, to go in and leave some more details that aren't quite 5 stars. So we can go ahead and say, 5 star, 5 star, 5 star, right to leave the building. Or we can have it come in where somebody receives that text after that, and they can expand a little bit more. And if that's an account that wants to be pushed through to Google, we can do that as well. And that's really where we start expanding that online reputation. So if anyone's interested in scheduling a demo, or if you're a current customer that wants to activate something like this, please, there's a poll question that's being dropped in, and we'll be more than happy to help out. Again, we want to make sure you guys are taking full advantage of our platform and full advantage of all your technology platforms. If there's someone else you want us to work with, someone else that you think would be helpful for us to learn and integrate with, we're happy to hear those as well. We also have a tool here for reputation analyst where we can go on and we'll review your websites. We'll see if you guys are getting that traffic you're looking for, seeing, maybe we need more reviews, maybe we need more feedback coming through to boost you up on that Google sheet. We don't want to be on page 5 of Google. I don't think many of us are going past page 1, or we kind of go past the sponsored real quick and see the first few ones. And normally we find what we're looking for right there. And real estate is getting more and more intense online. Right now, it used to be just those sponsored posts at the top. Now we see Google AI. So we're even further down that list when we're going through. So we want to make sure that you guys are getting the 3rd spot there, not the 30th. So we're open to question and answer a little bit here. I want to thank Kari so much for her time, her expertise, her experience, and just being able to open up and talk about what could be, the secret sauce on Sonida, and sharing that with everyone else, because we're about senior living in general. It's not necessarily one community versus the other, one operator versus this. It's all of our jobs together to raise all of senior living up. And just wanted to say, Kari, thank you again for being willing and able to do that with us today.
It was my pleasure. I appreciate you guys including me. Anything I can do to be informative too, I'm all about it, and could not agree more that, senior living, we should definitely unite more and share the information of things that make us successful. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
So if there's any more questions, we can keep taking them now. I'll stay on for a moment, or if we have anything specifically for Kari, let's get those in here. So I ran about 10 minutes over here, so I know she's got some stuff to get back to. So getting rolling from there. But other than that, thank you for everyone who did attend and, took some time today with us, whether it's on your lunch break or you're listening to us in the background as we're, cleaning up our CRM. We're happy to have you here, and we're always happy to have these discussions. If anyone would want to have some time with me as well and talk about AccuShield or just any ideas we have, more than happy to do that. So again, thank you, Kari, and thank you everyone for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.